Hi guys. I wanted to share my camera really quickly and say hi. Thank you guys all for joining and welcome to the Becoming a Virtual Interior Designer Unlocking the Potential webinar. And today we're going to explore the transformative power of virtual design and how it can help expand your business. So let's get started. And thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciate it. We're going to have some fun today. So, first I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Crystal Bright, and I'm an interior designer based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I specialize in virtual interior design with a focus on kitchens. And I'm excited to speak on this topic as a designer who started interior and kitchen design in the virtual space in 2020, and I've maintained to scale my company since. So I've started my business without any experience running a firm on my own. So I had to test and evaluate and learn and build a system that worked well. And I'm so excited to kind of share some of these tools with you. But before I dive into the world of virtual design, I want to take a moment so we can understand how online services has rapidly evolved in the recent years. The global pandemic has further accelerated the growth of virtual solutions, highlighting their significance in our lives. Now, this shows you kind of the shift towards online channels. This graph explains kind of how quickly we adopted technology much quicker than we expected. So like globally, we jumped 3 years in technological adoption. And so this remarkable acceleration in the development of digital products and services, with companies experiencing an average of 7-year increase of speed creating these offerings. This information is crucial for us designers to grasp, and it emphasizes the growing importance of digital channels and virtual services. By understanding this shift, designers can adapt their strategies and skills to meet the increasing demand in this evolving landscape. Now, there are definitely benefits to virtual design, and we should explore, what these benefits are, and also like the ins and outs of the challenges as well. But we're going to start with the benefits. And the first benefit would be working with clients anywhere in the world. This picture here is a rendering that I did for my first international project, which was in Jerusalem, and it was a kosher kitchen, and it really gave me the opportunity to understand kosher design and having 2 of everything and how important that is. And I loved having that opportunity. It helped me grow as a designer and as a human on this planet. Number 2 is accelerated scalability. Now, if you've been running your virtual firm for a while and you have figured out your preferred styles and the materials you like to go with, you can create some standard operating procedures. And that makes it so that you can replicate yourself and pass yourself along and scale quickly so that you can continue to, take on different markets. And this, I go a little bit further in my course on this, but it's important to know that like in the virtual space, it's not impossible to scale yourself as a traditional interior designer, but in the virtual space, because you're needed less physically, it is really, really easy to kind of replicate yourself if you have the business to do so. Now, one thing that was a great coincidence is that there's a low overhead. You don't have to really go far. I mostly work from home, and I don't travel for my projects, so I save, money on gas. My carbon footprint is lower, and of course, sustainability is incredibly important right now in 2023. And there's a lower amount of liability, which is great as a business owner. But of course, sometimes, people want to take on that liability for their own passion. But I love that I can kind of have a clear separating point from my designs, and my business can take a little bit less liability. One of the last benefits is that it's easy to find work at any level. So early on in my career, I was on Fiverr and I was just creating drawings for like $35. And I was being very honest about where I was in my career. And, you know, I always had the disclaimer, please, double check this with your cabinet provider for scale and things like that. But it's really easy to find work when you're starting off, as long as you just don't charge over the value that you're giving, basically. And it's easy to raise your pricing based on your portfolio. It'll be very clear once you have the skills and the understanding to bring together a really solid project for somebody. And so by then you can raise your pricing and people will understand the value that you're giving. The challenges are real, but they can be addressed. Personally, the first one isn't an issue for me, but the first challenge is that you have less control when it comes to install and what your client ends up going with. You don't have any control over it and you can't really hold them to it. And there are ways that you can have a contract linked with your shopping list and tell them that they have to purchase from you. I like to give my virtual clients the freedom, because I'm virtual and I'm not there. I like giving them the freedom to make their own choices, but use me as their kind of roadmap. The second thing that I run into that I really had a problem with when I first started was not being able to get finished photos. And the finished photos that I got were not how I would do them. So I didn't feel comfortable posting them either. So I actually got around that really easily when I started offering higher resolution and more realistic renderings. They make a great portfolio, and that's pretty much all you need to show the client what you can do, because that's what they want to see. They want to see your renderings and how well you can visualize their project, especially if you're going to be virtual. The third is big, and we're going to have a whole slide on it. Communication. Communication needs to be almost excessive. I've got this picture of the brain here because when we're working with anybody in any kind of business, they are equipped with these parts of their brain. And one brain part that we want to look out for is the reptilian brain. And that used to keep us alive back in the caveman days. It used to be the thing that said, look out for danger, look out for danger. But now in the modern age, it's kind of look out for the scam, who's trying to take your money, who's trying to, pickpocket you, whatever it is, look out for who's trying to take something from you. And so people walk around with this brain constantly on. And if you don't communicate, this brain is going to come back really, really quickly. So we have to do two really important things. We have to make them feel very supported. And this is why the communication needs to be excessive. You need to constantly let them know that we are supporting you and your dream and your hope for your design. And we are going to communicate this even with our constant updates. And we're going to work with reason. Oh, well, we're late on this project because X happened, because Y happened. We're giving them something to feed their reasoning part, because if they don't feel like everything's adding up, they're going to go straight back to this part of their brain. And so that's why I say over communicate and make sure that they understand every step, because we don't want to give them any excuse to go back to this part of their brain, right? And then the last thing is that, and this is just like a technical thing that happens, the measurements might be off. We have our clients use their iPhone or, submit measurements, but the iPhone has LiDAR technology. So they do a 360 scan with an app that we share with them. And we can kind of like a Matterport, we can take our own measurements from that scan, like the windows, the height of the ceiling, etc. And so those measurements might be off by like maybe an inch or two. In kitchen design, well, in all design where you're giving artistic renderings, you need to have a disclaimer letting them know that they need to have their measurements verified. And they're more than happy to do so, because of course, when it's time for them to purchase cabinets, the cabinet provider is not going to take your plans and then just go and order the kitchen for them. They're going to want to take their own measurements and make sure everything fits. But at that point, they have 99.9% of the work done for them. So if they need to make some adjustments, we leave them room to do so by using fillers strategically. Now, I want to talk about some tools that are very important, because when it's virtual, our tools are 100% of what we're doing, right? What we're using. And the first tool that, the first three tools are software focused and design focused. And we're going to go talk about 2020 Live, Lumion, but we're not going to go deep into SketchUp because you don't absolutely 100% need to learn all of SketchUp to be successful in this. So let's talk about 2020 Design Live. You guys might know a bit about it because this is who's hosting this webinar, but just to give you a cute little rundown, it offers a user-friendly interface with a wide range of product catalogs and advanced rendering capabilities to help designers create a detailed virtual design. And this is great for collaborating because you can do 3D visualizations, you can do tours, and you can use it to communicate with your clients. Now, 2020 Design is the very beginning of my story. When I started my business, I was using 2020 Design Live to create 2D drawings for kitchens. And then I started posting some of my renderings for my 2D drawings, kind of like this rendering here. This was made in 2020. And it was made using Nobilia cabinetry at the stainless steel finish. I started posting my renderings on Instagram, and then from there I got my first client. And then from there, 3 years later, my business has grown, and now we run it basically in 2 different offices. And I just wanted to share some of the outputs that 2020 Design Live can give. Now, these are renderings that I've made with 2020 Design Live and kitchens that I've designed, as well as full spaces. Like, it's not just kitchens, it's, you know, baths. You can do full architecture in here. You can also make kitchen cabinet plans, as you can see here, and the elevations. And it follows the universal codes if you want it to use a universal catalog, but 2020 is really cool. They have catalogs for all of these major cabinet brands. So you'll be able to quote from it and create like cool presentations that the client feels super confident, you know, making a purchase directly from. And I didn't have this in my notes, but I do want to touch on, as a kitchen designer, a lot of kitchen designers traditionally have relationships with cabinet brands, and they have partnerships, and they're always referring their clients to this, you know, they have a relationship like that. Well, when you're virtual, you can still have relationships like that with cabinet providers, especially if they ship nationally. If they ship nationally. So just know that you can still make a commission off of your kitchen, and there's actually a better chance. You might make a lower commission if you're not doing the full everything, but the cabinet companies only care about the order that's coming in. So if you can facilitate that, you can also get a commission off of that. Moving on, I want to talk about Lumion. Now, Lumion is a architect. It's usually used for architecture, but I utilize it for interior visualizations. And as you can see, I'm asking this slide to do a lot, but what it does is it helps create 3D tours, virtual tours. It makes animations. It does all of these artistic versions of the design. Sorry, let me at least load one thing. There we go. So you can kind of see the animations it makes. If I wanted to show a kitchen coming together, I would show kind of animation like this. And sometimes this is a way for me to support other designers in their story that they want to tell their clients. So Lumion is super important, but I'm going to also explain why we decided to take that extra expense, because not everybody needs to do this. But if you're going to offer virtual services, renderings do matter. And so to start, we should talk about this one. Oopsie, sorry, I just went on to the next slide. Okay, so 70% of clients are more likely to proceed with a project when it's presented with 3D renderings. And there's a 65% increase in client comprehension and retention rates, which leads to a higher rate of a project approval. And 53% of homeowners, and this is big, y'all, 53% of homeowners feel that seeing a detailed and realistic rendering is the most important factor when hiring a professional for their project. And 50% faster decision-making by clients when they're provided with immersive visualizations, kind of like our virtual tours. So you can see that the numbers don't lie. People, whether you're a virtual designer or not, people are asking for renderings. You have to be good at this part. Not good, but you have to figure out a solution for it. And so if all designers and a lot of people in this industry need to incorporate renderings, I believe that it makes sense to know the renderings and then don't corner yourself in one market. Go ahead and be a virtual designer and offer your services worldwide. If you have the, if you have the time and the work to do it, you know what I mean, the manpower to take it on. And you will, because it'll be easy for you to scale. Now I'm going to break down some of our effective communication skills that we have with clients and how we make it easy for them from start to finish. Now, communication is the most important part of any relationship, and that includes the designer and client relationship. We start off by keeping everything in writing. Everything should be documented. I prefer to have them to fill out online questionnaires and give me email exchanges over phone calls. And if, some designers prefer to talk on the phone, I'm personally an incredibly introverted person, but if my client prefers to talk, then I will for sure, of course, cater to that and go on a video call, because a video call can be recorded. And what's most important for me and will be for you is that you can refer back to this documentation if you get lost in the design, especially if you start juggling a lot of projects, but also you can pass it on to your team and your team can easily just pick up. You can keep everything in an organized way. I'll actually talk to you about how you can organize things too as well down the line. But number 2, you need to have a good contract and signing system in place. This is really going to streamline a lot of it, because we use a program called like PandaDoc, and PandaDoc lets us put our pricing model in it so that when it's time to create a contract, we just type in the square foot for the client, it generates a contract, and it actually sends it to them. And when they fill it out, it sends it to us. And then when I fill it out, it sends it to our bookkeeping people, and then they'll send the invoice. But having a really quick and streamlined way for a client to see immediately, oh, she has something in writing. Oh, there's an easy way for me to sign. I don't have to print anything out. I don't have to like get Adobe. Like, make it so easy. And that's a part of communicating. We have to make sure that like this isn't hard for them, because we're asking them for a lot. We talked about how quickly people have adopted technology and how quickly they jumped, but there's a lot of people who didn't jump. They kind of got left behind. So, and some of those people are the ones that have the big houses and all the money. So we kind of have to cater them, through this process. And so we make it easy, make it so easy. And so I recommend a program like PandaDoc. Number 3, I want you to let the client know when you've received everything. There's probably going to be, like, our part is that once we send the invoice and they pay for it, they kind of get a client welcome packet. And that client welcome packet gives them a link to the app for them to scan, gives them a link to the questionnaire, it gives them a lot of things to do, just a few things to do. And so once we have it all, even if we can't get started on it yet, make sure you let the client know when you've received everything, over communicate with them about that. And that leads to number 4, constant updates. Even if it's small, like, hey, we just ordered samples, they're gonna come in a couple days, like that seems kind of irrelevant, but that's something that they like to hear. They love hearing that you're always doing stuff for them, that their money is going a long way. And so even if it's something like bad news, like, oh, the software glitched and I had to restart, this might take another day or 2, just don't be afraid to even share the bad news, because even if they'll be disappointed to hear it, I mean, number 1, they're through a screen. So what are they gonna do? Throw a shoe at the computer? They're just gonna have to deal with it. And they're gonna be happy that you're, keeping them on board. A clear presentation. So when it's time to present to the client, we love using Canva because Canva can house all of your branding, like your fonts and everything. You can just pick a template, make it your brand, and then kind of fill it out. And it makes it a really pretty thing. So like even this presentation, I'm using Canva for because it's just gorgeous. It just makes it so easy to make a very beautiful presentation. 6, I want to talk about actively listening. um, I've been in a relationship for 7 years, so I have learned this. But it takes some time to learn it with clients because they're strangers, right? But we have to encourage you have to encourage yourself and your team to practice active listening, which involves fully focusing on the client's needs, asking clarifying questions, and emphasizing their perspective. And it ensures that you have a deeper understanding of their expectations, and it helps build a really strong rapport. Virtual design. So clear boundaries. Okay, so virtual design is kind of like interior design, and it can your clients can kind of leak into your personal space. You know, they can call at the wrong time. They can really get personal about their home, so they feel like they can get maybe overly personal with you, especially if you're communicating on like Instagram. Like sometimes as a virtual designer, probably all designers deal with this, but the client sees something beautiful on Instagram, so they just write you directly on Instagram. Well, just feel free to make sure you know, like, hey, maybe very early on in the relationship, let them know, hey, I don't answer emails after X or phone calls. But another thing when I talk about boundaries, which is huge, is for yourself. Like if a client asks you to do something that you don't feel comfortable taking on, because what they see is like a really cool, like say it's a 2D kitchen plan, cabinet layout, like it looks beautiful. So they're like, oh, they can do this. Maybe they can come up with an MEP plan, like a mechanical electric plan. You can't do that, right? Well, you might be able to, but most likely you probably aren't able to do that. Make sure you don't say yes to something that you don't really feel 100% comfortable taking on, even if the client believes that you can take it on, because they might not have a full understanding. And I say that with so much stress because as an entrepreneur, I'm always like, always say yes and then figure it out later. But when it comes to somebody's home and like some very real consequences, I say that like make sure that if you say yes, you feel 100% strong about either your ability to outsource it or to execute the job before you take it on. And number 8 is to make sure that you have a very clean handoff. Now, our projects end pretty seamlessly. We send you the final product. It comes in a beautiful presentation, and on the last page, we offer you an opportunity to leave a review on various channels, etc. So we basically make it seem like this is great, had fun, bye. Not in a rude way, but like this is it. Because it's a home project, it's not over for them, right? They're gonna take that off, hand it off to their contractor, whatever. But if you make a clean handoff, it makes it easy to I guess it makes it easy for you to properly charge them again when they re-engage you. Because sometimes you can hand off the presentation and maybe they didn't ask for revisions, but they didn't think the project was over. So then like 6 months later when they're getting on it, they're like, hey, can we try out these, pillows in this room now? Can you show me what that might look like? You have to, it's easy to be able to say, hey, we gave you the final version. You didn't ask for revisions. We closed out this project. But if you want to get some revisions, we can charge you, X, and we can get that started by Y. Now, marketing strategies. This is huge because how are you going to get these people to pay money for your services, especially if you're virtual, right? How are you going to show them that you're worth it? Well, I like to talk about social media because I started on Instagram and got my first client from Instagram, I of course, continue to figure out more and more ways to use social media for free to get more work, because when you're starting off, you don't have money for ads, you know what I mean? And so having a consistent and good quality cycle of videos that can help your clients see that the company is trustworthy and knowledgeable and provides great customer service is just like the strategy. That is the strategy when it comes to social media. And I wanted to share that 86% of our clients found us on social media. And I believe it's because we're virtual, so we have to actively be kind of showing what we're up to. Number 2 is word of mouth. In this industry, word gets around fast, especially when you're working with the consumer, like the homeowner. Because your clients are just going to be so excited when they see your renderings, and they're going to just want to share them with all of their friends, right? They're going to be like, oh, look at what she did, blah, blah, blah. The other big chunk of my clientele comes from word of mouth, because our work is visual, right? Like everything that we give them is visual, so they're happy to share it without even, knowing that they're doing marketing for you. And then 3 is that we shoot ads in an email drip campaign, or we do Facebook or TikTok or IG. And so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. So social media, consistency, quality, and knowledge are the most important strategies when it comes to social media, because if you follow those 3 things, like, you don't have to be hot, you don't have to be entertaining, but you have to know what you're talking about and share that with the world. Now, this company, Malden Cabinetry, this is a friend of mine, but he actually started his social media journey doing kind of like fun gags, where he owns a cabinet company, and he would do these gags on his employees, like sneak into their house and like record it. It was hilarious and entertaining, but that kind of viewership wasn't easy to maintain, because it's hard to replicate that, right, over and over and over again. So he changed his strategy. He said, you know what, I'm going to go boring with it. And I'm just teasing with him. He's not boring. He's just going on, walking around his showroom, opening doors and sharing information that matters to people, right? Like the different types of lazy Susans you can get. That video got 9,000 views just because it's just useful information. He's not doing anything special. He's not even delivering it in an entertaining way. And I love him to death. But you don't have to be as entertaining as it seems to be successful and to get your name out on social media. Now, when it comes to ads, I want to dive in, and I know that, hopefully I'm not running out of time. Oh no, I think I'm good. So when it comes to ads, I kind of have this diagram here, and just let me explain. In these 3 big bubbles, we're talking about targeted ads, which are ads where you can kind of, target a type of person, right? A drip campaign, which is when you have emails that start with like a day 1 to day 10, and each email has its own purpose, like an introduction email, testimonials, an offer, education. Like you have this drip campaign of emails that goes out to whoever ends up being on your campaign, and then a targeted email list. And so I'm going to show you this diagram where targeted ads and an email list hit, you hit like the perfect place to do a Facebook lookalike ad. And this is when you can use your email list. Say that you have a list of like bus converters, people who have converted school buses, and you want to be the person who designs converted school buses. So you have gotten this email list, whether you use, Snove or one of those things that grab emails from LinkedIn or whatever. You get an email list, and then you plug that email list into the ads manager audience area in your Facebook ads. And I can go deeper into this. I have a course, but I just want you to see what you can do from this. I'm sorry that I can't go that much deeper into it, but in Facebook, there's like a meta business program. If you have a business page, you know it, and there's an ads manager. And in the ads manager app, there's an audience place. And in the audience area, you can plug in your targeted email list. And now maybe you've already reached out to these people before. Well, you can create a lookalike email list and have Facebook target lookalike people to those same folks on your email list, because all those emails are going to pull up Facebook profiles, and they're going to have something in common, and Facebook is going to find out what it is and target other people just like it. So that you're good if you have these two things. If you go to the drip campaign and the email list, you're also great. You're going to have a list of school people or school bus converters, people who convert school buses, and then you can do a drip campaign introducing the school bus converter designer, testimonials, blah, blah, blah. You can do, you know, all of your drip campaign emails can be so specific to your target list. And this is where the money's at, because people are definitely going to open those emails. And if you have targeted ads and a drip campaign, but you don't have a targeted email list, I'm going to tell you to just bulk up your email list. Do not buy, I mean, you can do what you want, but I believe that if you want to save your money, don't buy ads yet until you can be really specific about who you're targeting. And so that means to build up your social presence, go online, do the other types of marketing, and kind of figure out who that is, figure out how to access their email list possibly, and then you can be in this $ place. This is the beautiful harmonization of preparedness, targeting, and executing from several angles. And I look at marketing as if it's like a battlefield, and how are we going to just execute that client? You know, well, I mean, maybe not record that, but let's go ahead and get this client, you know, onboarded. That's the goal. So we're going to hit him at every angle until he just needs us. He needs us. All right, so moving on. We're going to talk about streamlining your workflow. Now, this is how you can run your company in a really fast, efficient way. And that you guys can watch this back on 2020's website. So you'll be able to see a good look at this slide. But first, you need a CRM software. And this is a place to keep your clients straight. And we used Monday.com. And that helped us kind of organize all of our clients, everything that we needed to turn in. And that's good if you have a big team and everybody has a part that kind of like has to start after somebody else finishes their part, kind of like a really circular process, which I hope that everybody ends up having. We have a way for our clients to scan for measurements. So I imagine I'm talking about from the beginning of a project to the end. We onboard the client, so we put all the client's information here, all of their inspo photos, all of the photos of their images, their scan. We put it all in here, right? So we have our clients scan for measurements, and we give them their app and the client welcome packet that I told you. After we get them onboarded, we give them their client welcome packet. That gives them a link to scan for measurements, and it also gives them a link to take their online questionnaire. So already we have a lot of things taken care of and easy. If anybody wanted to pick up the project from here, they would have already had just about everything that they need. You know, you can go on vacation at this point if you have a team. But drive folder is super important. So yeah, the CRM here is great, but drive folder is so important for all of your clients to have. And there's a way that you can have your drive folder kind of be like a ghost folder in your computer. So when you save files, it'll save directly to your online drive folder. Now, this is really important if you have a team or if you're working with one other person, because I think it's important for every single thing my team is working on to be accessible by somebody else on my team, right? So I think it's so important to have a drive folder be the only way that you communicate or you deliver documents. So if you're going to be like, oh, hey, can we check out this document? You send the link to your drive folder, right? You're not just having files all willy-nilly. This keeps it really organized. Only thing that you need to send to each other are the drive folder links. When you want a client to check out their design, or if they're asking for the renderings files, you can just send them the drive folder link to all those renderings, right? And then Slack and chat. So our team communicates through Slack. And you can do Google Chat. There's so many different chat groups that you can use. And you just need to have a place where everybody can talk and where everybody can see each other's conversation about something, so that like you guys aren't having one-on-one conversations and then having to relay it back and forth to different people. The Slack is really awesome too, because Slack allows you to make kind of like a private channel if you wanted to bring your client in on a Slack. So your client could actually talk to you on the Slack, and you can be collaborative if you need a quick feedback on something. And then last, I wanted to talk about Canva, because again, Canva is amazing. There's no better, more intuitive way to present your presentation, to be honest, or your project. It can document your branding and it can link media, audio, websites. It just makes it so easy to present. And I say that your presentations kind of have to read like a blog. If you're going to present, make sure if you say, hey, in the plans, I did blah, 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 have plans be a hyperlink and link that to your Drive folder hyperlink for the plans. You know what I mean? If you're going to mention a product that you use, make sure you tag it. Like things like that being in a presentation to the client is so, so important. They need to have, like, blogs don't miss an opportunity to link anything, and you shouldn't either. And the last thing I really want to talk to you guys about, because we adopted technology so quickly, right? We did like a 7-year jump. And so I think that it's important to, sorry, my screen went out. I think it's important to focus on the future of virtual design as well. And we know the AI age is coming. So I'm going to talk to you about some ways that AI is in the design space and ways that we can use AI to be on the leading edge of design. Because if you're interested in virtual design, then you are interested in adopting technology in your design firm or in your way of joining the design industry. So number one, I want to talk about the AI-powered algorithms that can do certain things like generating layouts and suggesting material combinations and optimizing space utilization. Now that's happening now. I have heard from some architects that I know personally that there are programs that, I'm pretty sure it's easy to Google, but there's programs that will take your floor plan and generate the most optimized, best way to utilize it floor plan or kitchen design plan, right? Number two, the algorithms can analyze vast amount of data and they can generate alternative design options. So if you tell them, hey, I decided that I'm going to design this Hollywood glam room and I'm using this tufted sofa and this fuzzy pillow, but I really want my client to feel like, better about it. What are some other ways I could design the space, right? It can give you advice on other ways to do it. Number three is kind of represented here in this image. That it's data-driven design insights. And so I went to ChatGPT and I said, I want to make a modern organic living room, but I use 3D design. So can you tell me what plants should I use in my program called Lumion? And what 3D models should I use from this free website that has 3D models? And what hex codes would be the perfect color palette for an organic modern living room? And so it did things like say, use X type of leather, use this type of fabric, use literally this 3D model and then put literally this wood on it. Like it's just beautiful. This is I did not put any thought into this. I completely did exactly what ChatGPT asked me to do. And this is the modern organic room that came out of that. And then last but not least is the customization and personalization, which I think is great. And I recently just used AI for this because I had kind of like a zany client that had so many different design styles. And she would, by the way, embrace the name, the term zany, because she is something else in a great way. So she had so many different design styles and inspirations: Versace, animal print, Hollywood glam, traditional. So I said, ChatGPT, help me. I need help with this client. And it helped me figure out a way to utilize everything that defined her in a beautiful way. And of course, I don't follow ChatGPT word for word when I'm working with clients, because obviously I still have my point of view. And so, utilize AI and say that you utilize AI, but know that you are not AI's machine, right? It's a tool. And I personally don't use virtual assistants or take on anybody to do copy for me if they don't utilize AI, because I don't want people to just rely on their brains. Human brains are faulty, right? We don't know everything at every chance we need to know it. And so if you say you utilize AI as a virtual designer, I'm telling you that you will be on the leading edge. People are going to be reaching out for that. It won't be scary sounding. It's going to be like, oh, she puts in another level of research. Basically, she has the oracles at her fingertips as she designs, right? And that's the conclusion. I would love to take some questions if there's time. And if you want to sign up for my course, which is a full virtual interior design course, take a scan of this QR code and it'll just be like a little sign up page for me to get your information so I can send it to you when it launches in September.
Oh, that was amazing, Crystal. We do have a couple questions, and as she said, if anybody has any questions while she's answering the ones already asked, please just put it into the question dialog box on your screen. So the first one, Crystal, is we had quite a few people curious about your room scanner app. Kind of what is the name of that, or what is it? Where can they find that? Yeah.
Sure. So I use canvas.io. Canvas, like a canvas that you would paint on, .io. And what's awesome about them is they let me have a canvas.io kind of link that had like a hashtag, it had a / 3D Bright Design. So when I sent it to my clients, all of their scans automatically populated into my folder, so organized by their email address, so that every time they did a scan, it went straight to me. So if you reach out to them, they like working with designers. They'll make it easy for you to have your clients kind of have one link that makes it easy for you to absorb all of their scans.
Great. And then we have a few people wondering about the name of the AI that you had spoken about.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT every single day now. ChatGPT, you don't have to pay for it. I used the free version until just last month, and then I feel like I owed them because they helped me so much with so many of my businesses.
What do you use for your online questionnaire?
I use Typeform. Typeform is great because it lets you plug in pictures, but there's Jotform too. There's a lot out there, but Typeform is my favorite.
Oh, do you have, sorry, is your social handles?
Oh, I should have put them on there. My social handles are Crystal D Bright everywhere. Crystal, like the word crystal, the letter D, and then bright, like the word bright. Crystal D Bright. It sounds like a pun, but it's not.
Sorry, there's tons of questions coming in.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. What if a client doesn't have a phone that can operate Canvas?
If they don't have an iPhone, I tell them, well, I have a link for a measurement guide for them to do, which I know is a pain, but we need them to kind of take measurements. I know that there are other apps out there, but Androids do not have LiDAR technology, so I can't rely on their depth perception, and so the measurements might be off. So I would ask them to hand draw or see if they can find floor plans. And sometimes they just have to reach out to their realtor, and their realtor has access to the floor plans in the MLS.
All right. So to kind of build on that, there's not really any room scanners for Android that you feel is reliable enough to use?
No, I would not. Yeah, I don't rely on, because I don't know enough about Android, and I have heard that Android did not have LiDAR technology in their cameras unless it has changed. I don't feel good about the depth perception enough to allow my team to use those measurements. So we would prefer the client to submit hand measurements or use a friend's iPhone. Most of the time, they've got a friend or a kid who's got an iPhone at home. Sorry, Android people. I love you anyway.
So could you explain just a bit more on how you use ChatGPT to sort through a client's diverse taste?
Sure. So ChatGPT is kind of cool because you can make it kind of like your you can make it your manual. I go into a ChatGPT thread, which is just a thing that you can write into, and I tell it everything about my business in one thread, and I call it the master pages. And so I'll tell it everything about my businesses, my services, etc. And then I'll be like, this is the master pages. And then I stay in that thread and I'll ask it more questions and I'll be like, refer back to the master pages if I need to. But I can do this for a client. So I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll talk all about a client. I'll go through the Pinterest and tell ChatGPT the patterns I see about the client, and I'll give it all the information and be like, these are the master pages on X client. And then as I'm working through the whole design, I go back to ChatGPT and ask it advice, whatever I kind of want to know advice on or a different perspective on. I just ask it and I say, you know about this client. If it starts to kind of get off topic, I always say, refer back to the client master pages. We know about this client. What would be a better solution for X? Or like, I can't find this. Can you help me find that? And that also works when it comes to we're working with their personality and their personal point of view when it comes to style. Because I'll be like, how can I cater to this? They like SpongeBob. What is the most realistic but upscale way I can incorporate SpongeBob into this design?
So somebody's asking how to get more clients and as well more reliable contractors.
So getting more clients is all about marketing when it comes to virtual design. So being on social media, like I said, 86% of our clientele comes from social media. You don't have to be like flashy. You just have to kind of show that you know what you're talking about, because the number one thing people think of when it comes to virtual services is that you're going to take their money and run and not go through with it. So they want to see that you have a Facebook page or an Instagram page or something full of content, full of things showing that you're doing your job every day and you care. And so you have to kind of build a presence, like even a brand presence, and then go get your clientele. And I always say, if you're starting off, go on Fiverr, go on a freelancing site and price under your worth, unfortunately, because pricing under your worth is going to give you enough experience and enough people that can back you up, that can give you ratings on Fiverr, that can show that you're reliable. After you get your first rating on Fiverr, I'm telling you, you're in a good place, because people will see that you do 5-star service, and that's enough for them to take their chance on you, especially if you're priced low enough.
Great. And then how about getting reliable contractors?
Getting reliable, because I have a handoff period before it gets to contractors. I don't touch that, because we're working with clients all over the world, right? I can't hold my liability to every single contractor out there, because I'm telling you, some of y'all know, contractors, God bless them, everybody wants to make a living, but sometimes they're not always doing what they're supposed to. So I can't put my name on it. And I would say clean it off, do a clean break before it gets to contractors if you have the chance to.
And how many revisions do you recommend offering clients before charging?
So we charge a pretty healthy per square foot rate that includes 2 revisions, and every additional revision is 20% of the project.
Do you have consumers who reach out to you via Fiverr?
Consumers, yeah, like clients, absolutely.
Do you?
My business. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, continue.
I actually started with Fiverr, so like I got about 150 5-star ratings on Fiverr before I got a client who was like a YouTube creator. So she was documenting her process, and that kind of helped me get off of Fiverr and start getting real world clients. And then I started offering more real world money. But if I had done more on social media, I feel like I wouldn't have needed that boost. You know, I could have actually shown that I was good enough on my own if I was consistent. So that's why I push social too, because there's just some things I did not do that I'm asking you guys to do because I know it's going to get you there faster.
How many staff do you employ, and how many designs do you typically complete in a month?
So we have contractors, and we have about 8 to 10 contractors right now. And they're all different types, you know, engineers, architects, designers, you know, assistants. And we do about, wow. So we used to do about 16 designs a month, but now we've changed our model a little bit where we're taking on bigger projects. So they're less. So now we do about probably like up to 10 in a month.
So back to ChatGPT, how would you ask the AI to design a space specifically? Like, what kind of questions would you ask?
Okay, so after I tell the client, tell the ChatGPT about the client and what space we're starting with, I would be like, well, I first start like I would start any project. What materials would you use for, you know, the walls? It would be like, oh, okay, do a floral wallpaper in X colors, and it might give you exact hex colors if you ask. So if you ask for the exact hex colors, you can Google them and see the actual color palette that they're putting together for you. And then you can use that color palette to move forward when you're buying your furniture, etc. And literally, if you start off, I mean, I start off every design with materials and a color palette, right? So if it's telling me what type of materials and color palette to work with, I can kind of grab those quickly, see that it does create the vibe that I'm looking for. And then when it comes time to select finishes or select furniture, I can go and follow that guideline. And it helps me. You know, everybody needs a roadmap, but you see, you can take that as a roadmap. And then when you're going out and looking for finishes and furniture, you don't lose your point of view, right? You're just following the roadmap, but you can still say like, this isn't cute. This is cute. You know what I mean?
Do you work with an IT team to manage all of this technology?
I work with something like an IT team. I work with a company called Elixir Group, and they helped me kind of get all of my automations together, get my website into a very like circular, easy to replicate thing. And so I adopted them on earlier this year, which helped us change our model.
Will your masterclass go in depth as to how to get started going virtual?
Yes, my masterclass goes in depth about getting started, getting your social media strategy together, drip campaigns, Facebook ads, and the actual technological stuff, like kind of how to use Lumion and how to use 2020 in SketchUp. Best practices as well.
Do you, sorry, somebody's asking about how you can sign up for the course other than your QR code.
Well, right now I'm beta testing the course, so I had already taken down all of the sign up information. A few months ago, I took on 16 beta testers, and so they're helping me get the course perfect because I already know any business needs to test before they have a final product. So right now we're working with 16 beta testers and getting stuff out and seeing if it's really helpful, figuring out how to get people to the aha moment quicker. So right now I'm taking people's information, and then when we have something that we feel good sharing, which will be by September, you can come on. But right now, I'm going to be sending everybody an offer for the course, which is going to be half off of what it's going to be in September. So you can take that offer or you can wait till September. But yeah, I'll be sending everybody an offer in a way to get on board early.
So what would be the base price for a medium kitchen design that you charge?
The base price for a medium-sized kitchen, if they want it to, okay, well, we do things in, okay, so we will visualize your existing design, and that would be around 500, I guess. If you want us to visualize a design that we do the layout for, that would be around maybe 750 ballpark. And if you want to have us pick out finishes and do the layout and do the visualization, then that's when you get up to like 12 to 1500 for an average size kitchen. And then you can add on things like an animation if you want us to do a fly through, or you can add a virtual tour if you want to kind of like actually be able to stand in your kitchen, pull up your phone, and then kind of scan the kitchen virtually, like you're doing your own little 360. You can see like a before and after in real time. But I'm not selling you guys that. I'm always selling though.
So how much have you scaled your business? How large have you been able to grow it with going virtual?
So actually what's crazy is that for the first 2 years, because I was nervous about scaling too quickly and having to take care of other people and then falling through on being able to handle everybody's payroll. So for the first 2 years, it was just me and my right-hand man named Nikhil. And he and I had worked together and tackled all of our projects. Like we were doing 16 to 20 projects a month, but I just didn't want to overstretch myself. And then I finally went to this kind of a business startup program, and I learned that I needed to scale myself. So what I did was I wrote down every job that I did, and then I figured out how to put those jobs into a position, the perfect position, and then I went and I found those people to fulfill that position. So that's kind of how you scale. You have to write down everything that you're doing and then find somebody or enough people to handle all of it. But it took me 2 years because it was just 2 of us, and now we're up to about 8 to 10.
Great. And then, so to what extent do you coordinate with installers? Is that kind of going along the lines that you were talking about, where you have a complete handoff? Or?
Yeah, I do the handoff. I let the clients know they can get their contractors and installers. Sometimes they have to wait. There's so many different things that go into place where we don't have the time or the bandwidth to organize it. So after they have the plan, they can take it from there.
Right. What would you say the operating costs would be for all of the tools that you use?
Let's see. There's a lot of upfront, well, not a lot. Well, there's a lot less than an actual design firm. But my upfront costs were, well, I did a 30-day free trial of 2020, so that helped a lot because I got my free trial and did not play with a minute of that extra free time. So I got straight into the training that 2020 had on the website, and then that's when I started sharing my renderings, and then that's when I started getting work. So 2020 started paying for itself pretty quickly. And then after a year of just designing with 2020 and SketchUp, I added Lumion, and Lumion is around $1,700. It's a one-time fee, but it paid for itself pretty quickly as well, because then I could offer higher, I could raise my prices because my renderings ended up being like hyper realistic, and I could make videos and super cool ways for them to absorb their projects. So it allowed me to charge more.
Great. And then kind of on that same note, somebody's asking what kitchen design tools that you can suggest that is affordable and reliable. And then they go to ask, do you prefer using Design Live or Lumion?
So I have to use 2020 personally because when I started off with kitchen, I was using Nobilia, which is a European kitchen brand. And so 2020 had the catalog, which means that as I'm putting the design together, it's using exactly what Lumion offers in the design. There's no moment where you're like, oh, wait, we don't offer this. Oh, wait, how much does this cost? No, they have the catalogs in it. So But if you want to start off in an affordable way, you can get SketchUp. There's free ways to get SketchUp, and you can kind of like hand draw it or put in kitchen cabinetry that's already been built in 3D, because SketchUp has like the 3D SketchUp warehouse full of all kinds of models that you can plug in. And so if you don't want to get 2020, you can get SketchUp and kind of make kitchens using that. And you can present it using that. SketchUp has a cool way to present realistic designs. What was that second question? Something I forgot.
Well, just what you can prefer, but she's also asking, well, I guess they're kind of all asking, is it Lumion compatible with 2020? If you can kind of expand on, yeah.
Oh, sorry, don't mean to holler. So when I make a design, this is why I stepped it up. So when I make a design in 2020, you have the full 3D model. You have the kitchen, you have the walls, the windows, the floor, everything. You have a full 3D model. So all you do is you extract that 3D model from 2020, and then you plop it into like an environment in 2020. Like 2020 will have like a neighborhood environment. So you can plop that kitchen into a neighborhood so that every picture or every rendering that you take is not only is it more realistic because of the way that you can move the sun, and you can like make it windy, and you can show raindrops if you wanted to. Like, it's so incredibly detailed. So yeah, you can take your 2020 design and then turn it into something just like remarkable.
Great. So then I guess since we're going off that, some of our users here want to know what kind of computer you need or you have, and kind of like what your software requirements are for all the programs that you're running.
Yeah, so I started off with a gaming laptop, and I could run Lumion on it and everything, but it didn't take bigger files. Like, I could only do like a kitchen. I couldn't do like a whole downstairs. So then I upgraded to kind of like a gaming PC. And I wonder if there's I can find a way to share all the little details of my computer. I know there's a way to pull that up and take a screenshot, but I do have like a beautiful amount of RAM and stuff, and graphic cards that are fancy and stuff. I just bought, basically Lumion has a blog that says like, what computer should I get to work with it? And I just got the best computer they recommended.
Great. So could you explain just a little bit more in depth how you use Facebook for advertising?
Sure. So Facebook is, of course, where everybody knows that they can grow their business and reach out to the most people. So Facebook's ads go out to Instagram as well. But we go into Facebook, and there's a business part of Facebook where you can run your business page and, handle permissions and all of that. Well, there's also a part that's your ad manager, and your ads manager is where you can set up your ads and pay for your ads and create your audiences. In the ads manager, there's a little tab called audiences, and audiences allows you to upload a particular email list, and it'll be like, you can do a lookalike audience, or you can try to, and this is a specific place. I know that everybody knows the way to set up ads. It's pretty easy. You can make your audience, and there's like a little scale thing where you can say, oh, in the United States, and they're interested in this. I'm not talking about that kind of way of setting up your ad. I'm talking about in the ads manager, you go to the audience area, and then you upload your audience, and then it'll say, do you also want to make a lookalike audience for this email list? And then you'll let it do that. And then when it's time for you to build an ad, you have your like school bus converter email list and people who look like them, which means they're probably all kind of like in the same kinds of Facebook groups. And, it'll find people like them based off of that email. And then they're going to blast your ad to those very specific targeted people. And I say it's so important to be specific about your targeting. It's just because you don't want a single one of your dollars to be wasted. I wasted so much money just letting my ads go to broader kind of like groups. And I think that this was way more successful.
Do you employ a social media person to post and manage everything on your behalf?
I employ a So I make right now, I do all of my videos on TikTok. I just personally make everything on TikTok. So the person that I employ, she takes my TikTok videos and puts them wherever they need to go on all of my other platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. So I have her to do that, but most of the creation part is me. And then when it comes to ads, I am lucky that because I started my business without knowing anything about running a business, I got so hyper focused on how to do every single part. But if you don't have time for that, hire somebody. There are people who know this strategy, and there's lots of people. There's people on Fiverr who understand this. This isn't like very deep information. Like this is pretty much the surface kind of level of Facebook marketing ads. Well, not surface, but surface if you're into it. So yeah, I think if you don't have the time, hire somebody on Fiverr.
So where do you suggest getting and developing the targeted email list, like through LinkedIn or?
So, okay, so here's the nitty gritty. I use a program called snov.io, snov.io, and it's kind of like Rocket Reach. If you're on LinkedIn and you search, you know, the hashtag bus converter, I'm just going to stick with this one, so we just roll with it. So we hashtag bus converter, and it'll pick up all the people who are on LinkedIn who talk about bus conversions, right? We have snov.io have a little kind of plugin. They have a plugin that it'll take that group of people that come up when you do that search, and it will go through page 1 through 100 of those group of people, and it will extract emails. And then it will sift through the emails, make sure that they're good or verified or not. But snov.io is really cool because it will also set up your drip campaign, and it'll warm up your email address. Because, you know, all of these people didn't reach out to you. I hope this is legal to share, but if all these people didn't reach out to you, sometimes you don't have any business putting them on a campaign if they didn't do your network. But if you want to send them a couple of targeted emails, that's your business. And so I say go to snov.io, have them search through page 1 through 100 of your bus converter results, have it all go, have them all go to an email list. And then on snov.io, create a drip campaign about 2 or 3 emails that go out maybe 5 days apart that are very focused on what you can do for this bus converter. Make sure your subject and your email explain what kind of design services you can do for them, right? And then see your results. You can test that way too. You can test your results. You can test if your email was successful or not. And then you continue to build your list that way. And you can also test niches that way, because if you're going to start a business, especially if you're starting off, testing is literally the only thing that matters, because you might be wasting your idea on an idea. You might be wasting your time on an idea if you don't test that it will be successful. So like bus conversion people, you might find out that 1% of those people answered your email. And then you can be like, okay, let's go ahead and test another group of people and maybe try a different email header or something like that. You know what I mean?
Great. So what's your TikTok handle, Crystal?
Oh, I have so many, but check out Crystal D. Bright. Crystal D. Bright is my, it's not niched out. It's not consistent. It's just a hodgepodge of me and all of my businesses. But I have one for @3D Bright Designs, which is my design firm. And @3D Bright Design is my Instagram and Facebook and everything too for my business, which is more.
Nice. So do you send customers links for furniture and deco items in your designs for purchase, or is it just an idea / visuals?
So we use a program called SideDoor. SideDoor works with designers virtually, and they kind of let you go in and get a list. So like 400 vendors are on SideDoor, and SideDoor lets you look through all of these vendors and then put them all, in a shopping list. Like you can just pick and choose from all these vendors and make a generated shopping list that you can just link to your client, and then they can just purchase straight from that shopping list, and then you can get your 30% commission. So that was a big thing with virtual design that I had to struggle with, because a lot of companies, a lot of regular furniture brands would not do trade accounts with me because I'm virtual, and I didn't buy it ahead of the time and then sell it to the client like interior design usually does. So side door is the way to do it because they cater to virtual design. They cater. You can even make your own store on your website. You can make a website with a specific furniture list that you embed on your website, and people can just shop from it if they love your style.
Nice. So kind of to build off that, what cabinet lines have you come across that will work directly with virtual designers?
So number one, I love Malden cabinetry because they ship nationwide, and they have non-toxic brands. They have so many different brands. They do frameless, so they cater to my European style clients. So Malden is one. Oh, I used to say Nobilia, but I learned that it's a little bit hard to work with European measurements. So I wouldn't recommend them to be one of the first ones when it comes to designing, because working with metric and then jumping back and forth is a little difficult. Yes. And then there's Dura Supreme. Dura Supreme, not only is their catalog everything on 2020, there's nothing you can't find on Dura Supreme's catalog if you use 2020. But Dura Supreme also has so many styles. It's amazing quality. They've got everything kind of figured out. So Dura Supreme is a good one to go with too.
Do you keep intellectual property rights for your projects as part of your services, or do you hand those files over from OneDrive?
I own all of our renderings and files, but if a client wants me to give them like a source file, we can give it. Oh, well, sometimes we'll just give it to them, but sometimes we'll do it for a price. Like if we worked for like the whole like like maybe 75% of a house, and then the client's like, I don't want to work with you, and we'll take it to somebody else. Like this hasn't happened before, but if they did that, I would be like, okay, but you have to pay for this source file. Like we're not just giving it to you.
So how did you start your company name and your brand for yourself? And then what kind of liability insurance did you start off with?
So I started my company after a year of actively being able to serve clients, and I named it 3D Bright Designs. I've started a few businesses and I always use my last name Bright. But if I could change it now, I wouldn't use the word 3D because it's very old school. I would use like VR because that's what a lot of the visualizations companies are saying, a VR, or something like that. But just make sure that your brand is true to you. If your name is like Lindsay Adams, be Lindsay Adam Designs, you know what I mean? But one thing I do want to say when it comes to branding that I am happy about is that 3D Bright Designs isn't dependent on my point of view. I wanted to start design because I cared about showing my point of view. But after working like 400 projects, I was like, really, the client's point of view is what matters. So I like that I can now branch out, I can scale, because 3D Bright Designs doesn't just need Crystal Bright to design it. So if you are Lindsay Adams, just know that everybody wants the Lindsay Adams experience, and that might need your time. So if you want to scale, maybe make your brand be a generic, not generic, but kind of a term that doesn't depend on you specifically.
Right. How do you bill your clients?
We bill our clients. Oh, we started off billing using Stripe, but now we have like a whole QuickBooks automation put in that's kind of linked to our contracting.
Okay. And do you create a new contract for each client, or do you have general contracts?
Yeah, so PandaDoc has like a template. So the template is pretty much the same. It has like a welcome. I edit the welcome template just so that they know we're talking specifically about their project, but everything else is the same. And then PandaDoc is cool because it kind of has all of your products uploaded in it. So I can say, okay, this person just wants 3D visualizations and they want it for 500 square feet. And it'll automatically generate that in the contract so that they know how much it costs and everything when they sign. And it makes it streamlined so that we don't have to make a whole new contract each time. Like a template on PandaDoc is really cool. And you know, PandaDoc, of course, like I'm telling you programs that cost something up front. You don't have to do that. Just get a template on like, you know, Outlook or something.
And what's the typical client budget for a project?
Oh, so if we're working with a kitchen, I guess the typical client budget is between the typical client is between about 20 to 40,000 for their whole kitchen remodel. And if they're like designing a bedroom, I would say it's like 5 to 10. If they're doing a living room, it's around 10, maybe 10 to 15. And I'm talking about for furniture, not always for like structural changes. Like, of course, the kitchen has structural changes and that varies. But when it comes to furniture, usually people don't, you know, that's probably the average person's budget. When I'm talking about purchasing, by the way, I don't know if you're talking about purchasing, their budget for design services or their budget for purchasing, but I gave you their purchasing budget.
What do you charge per SF?
Per square foot. So it varies. The more square feet you have, the lower the square foot price is. But typically, if you want like a visualization of your plan without us doing any planning, we do about like $4 to $5 a square foot. And if you want to add our interior design services, it adds an additional like $2 to $3 per square foot. So sometimes you might walk away paying like, if it's for a small bedroom, you might pay like almost $6 to $7 per square foot.
So someone's asking, they just got their degrees in interior designer. They're wondering how they can get started as a virtual designer.
I would start get on Canva and start making kind of like mood boards and things like that, and you know, get an idea of how to create a good presentation. And obviously, oh wait, you're in design school, so you know what you're doing. So at this point, you know that. If you want to get started, I would say go on Fiverr. I know you're probably charging under your worth with the level of education you have. You probably have more education in design than I even have, but you have to start off without a good, you know, you might have some stuff that you can put in your portfolio and put on Fiverr, but if you don't have 5-star ratings and a portfolio, you have to start off kind of cheap. So get on a freelancing site like Upwork or Freelancer or Fiverr, and you know, charge cheap for something like mood boards, or if you can do visualizations, do that. Whatever you're comfortable with, like go out there and offer what you feel comfortable with, and somebody will pay it.
Great. And then kind of a slight segue off that, someone wants to know, they don't want to own their own business, but they want to work for a virtual designer. How would one go about making that happen?
That's a good, yes. So there are different directories. Like there's a woman named Jeanette, I think she has a thing called eDesign Tribe, and eDesign Tribe are full of people who are virtual designers, right? And so she has a directory for people who want to hire one of their eDesigners. But if I were you, I would go through that directory and then reach out. I would add them to a drip campaign, but if you don't have the money for that, reach out to every single one of them and be like, hi, I'm just graduated or whatever, and I want some work and I'm willing to do this and that and this. And I'm telling you, we're like dying for somebody to help us for cheap. We always have some kind of task that's just been put on our plate that we need to fulfill somehow. So I imagine you can reach out to all of them, show them, and they'll see your value.
So how do you handle cabinetry damage / warranty claims? Paula finds it difficult and she's in person.
Oh, well, luckily, because I hand it off before they purchase, like I said, that Malden Cabinetry, like that company that I recommend as a cabinet company because they work well with us, we'll hand them the design and then they will take it on, right? They take on everything, including the liability. If their cabinets don't come correctly, then Malden needs to go and correct that, not Crystal, right? We make sure that our liability has a clear boundary, and our job is fulfilled, and we make sure it's clear when it's fulfilled. And that's mostly when the planning is happening, or the ordering. Now, if you want to be involved in the ordering, you are still not liable for what goes on when it comes to things being damaged, because you're not there for install, you weren't there for unpackaging, right? So that's not something that the designer needs to worry about.
Can you actually spell Malden?
M-A-L-D-O-N, Malden Cabinetry. And I can go to the slide, actually. That's them.
Do you send customers physical samples at all?
Yes, actually, yes. So when I get started with a client, depending on whatever they need, there's a company called Material Bank, and Material Bank sends you samples for free. Material Bank sends them for free and usually overnight. So as soon as I'm done talking to a client and ChatGPT, I go to Material Bank and I order. If ChatGPT said, hey, get this oak wood or try this like type of marble, okay, let's go order it. So then I order a bunch of samples. They come usually overnight, and I have a vibe tray here that I use to board out these stories and figure it out. And then once I feel good about it, then it's time to get to the computer and start visualizing. Oh, actually, I didn't even finish. Okay, and then after the client is happy with the design, we can send through Material Bank all the samples that ended up being in the design to the client. So I actually had a whole way that I wanted to box them up and put them in a cute, like perfumed box. But really the most cheap and reasonable way to do it is just send another order to Material Bank, from Material Bank to the client's address. And they're more than happy to do that.
So we have a few people wondering how much your course is going to cost in September, and if you have anything you're going to offer before September.
The course in September is $17.50, and it's 50% off for anybody who signs up for it right now. But wait, what was the second part of that question?
And then do you have anything available before September?
No, because we're beta testing, and I am slowly letting these things roll out, because a lot of our course is going to be kind of a shared screen, because I'm showing you things I'm doing technically. So that's taking a little time. But right now I'm only beta testing with a small group. So nobody's going to see any part of this until it's done. And I'm not going to release it until I feel like all the beta testers, feel like they reached that aha moment, and we work through all of the questions and everything that they needed me to provide for them. And they're being very responsive and helpful. But I don't feel good about showing anything until I've had it tested and it works with everything else that comes after it.
Okay. So the Lumion program, can you spell that? Some people are trying to find it and they can't.
Yeah. It's Lumion. I'm trying to figure out the slide for it. Here we go. Lumion. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good. And then, so on the same term, the IT firm that you work for, the Elixir Group, is it E-L-I-X-E-R?
It's A-L-I-X-E-R, Elixir Group. And it's just kind of like a group that supports businesses with automations, HR, onboarding, just so much stuff.
Are you willing to share your slide presentation, Crystal? The one we just read through, yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
so I'll make sure. I know a lot of you have been asking about if you'll get a recording. There's definitely a recording coming. We have to process it, and it will go out early next week. So since Crystal is gracious enough to share this, I will include that in that same email for everyone. So a few more questions. And I'm sorry we've gone way over, Crystal. I hope this isn't.
I love this. I love it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. do you have any suggestions of a frequently used lighting catalog that you like? The ones that they're using currently just are lacking in creativity.
This is kind of one of the reasons why I did go to Lumion for some of the lighting things, because I wanted to be able to show my full design. And when I started using Lumion, I also had an earlier version of 2020. So these things might have solved themselves, but I just wanted to have different SketchUp models to easily come into the design. So that also helped me use Lumion to attack kind of the lighting issue. But when I was rendering in Lumion, because I don't know if you're talking about how you want the lighting to come out, or if you're just talking about the Lumion model, I mean the rendering or the 2020 lighting models. But if you're talking about the lighting and how the lighting looks in 2020, I always say use Omni Light, strategically, and you can make it look beautiful. But if you're talking about the models, then yeah, I would say always import from SketchUp. That's a way to really battle that.
How do you typically get paid reliably from your clients? So we know how you got paid, but how do you, negate people not paying you?
Reliable. Okay, so luckily when I got Elixir Group, I had a bookkeeping person. So like he will send the reminders if there's a client who's like a little slow and pay their invoice. He'll keep it going, but of course, if you have just Stripe, which is what I did before, Stripe, you can just set it up to send automatic reminders. And so like after maybe 5 days and we're expecting the invoice and they're expecting the work done, I'll send a reminder every day for them to pay it, right? And then if they're still expecting their work, of course, you have to hold the work hostage until they pay. But a lot of times when it comes to virtual services, just as eager as we are to show them that we're trustworthy, a lot of our clients are incredibly eager to show you that they're on board with the process. Even though it might be new, they're really on board with it. And so very rarely do I have a hard time having people pay their invoices.
And do you typically charge a retainer fee before you starting any work?
No, I have them pay their full invoice before we start, unless it hits 5 figures.
So somebody's just wondering about the Elixir Group. They can't seem to find anything when they Google it. Do you have a contact number or something, or email?
I do. I can get you guys a contact. Elixir Group.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if they have I want to make sure everybody knows. I don't know if they have a huge online presence. They work with a lot of startups that I know of. Well, I don't know the startup owners personally, but I've talked to the startups before I got on board. But they're not like online because they're mostly just like working with, I don't know their whole deal, but I definitely can get you the contact. They're definitely the best. But they might be new, who knows?
So some people are wondering kind of how you got good at 2020. So like, did you need to take any additional courses when learning more about 2020 Design Live? They want to know about learning more about how to make the renderings better quality as yours are.
Yeah, so 2020 gave me, on their website, I had access to a lot of free videos. So that's what I used. I only used that, and then it was 2020, so I had a lot of time to play with it. It was the year 2020. So I had a lot of time to play and get really, really good at it. As my first year using 2020, I won the Inspiration Award for their contest. So if you really stay focused and try, you can get good at it in a very short amount of time. But in my course, I know you can't learn it right now because there's a wait time, but my course, we do go over what I do to make sure my renderings are really realistic and that my presentations are like dope.
And then do you have any NKBA certifications or just your education enough to try to get going in kitchens?
So when I started, NKBA had these courses on their website that's a little bit different from like fully on taking the courses in a college, but they have these things that are like, you can design a kitchen after you take this course, and it's a series of videos. And then they'll have one that's like, you can design a bathroom by the NKBA standard after taking this course. And it's another series of videos just giving you like the most detailed but basic information about cabinetry and how to put and everything to look at and how to successfully make your own kitchen. And I think it was maybe geared towards homeowners or people who wanted to DIY, possibly. But I took that education and then some YouTube, I call it YouTube University, and I kind of figured out kitchen design that way. So, and those courses were cheap. They're about $250 for each little, chunk of what you could do at the end of that, like $250 for the kitchen one, $250 for the bathroom, etc. So NKBA did help me learn how to start. Like I started off with NKBA knowledge.
So do you sell cabinets, or are you strictly just design?
So I started off selling cabinets, and then I went into interior design, and now I do both. So I take on kitchens because I love them. I love kitchens. So we sell cabinets with Malden and sometimes with Form, which is Nobilia's like quick way of making a kitchen. And then we do furniture by using Side Door for furniture sales.
And what kind of insurance is required for what you offer?
So when I started my business, I got on LegalZoom and I got everything they told me to get. And I started an LLC, so it was a limit liability company. I got just like a very basic insurance. So I'm sorry, I didn't know this question was going to come up. So I don't know what kind of insurance I got, but it was so inexpensive. And I don't ever think about it, but hopefully it covers everything. But to be honest, without the insurance, if you don't have it, if you have a contract, you're pretty set, to be honest. And also in virtual design, our liability is so low. Insurance is important, but we're not in a situation where we've cost somebody $25,000 usually, right? So I guess it wasn't the top priority on my list on how covered I was.
How do you get catalog downloads from cabinet companies to design kitchens in 2020?
If you are a member of 2020, you have access to basically all the catalogs that allow themselves to be online, but also 2020 is doing this thing. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but you guys are doing a thing where you won't even have to download catalogs, right? Like everything will just be on the cloud.
It's all in the cloud. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then do you get much benefit from Pinterest?
Actually, yes. Pinterest is interesting. So I will be posting and sharing things from my website or from my social on Pinterest, and I will be getting no views, like 0. And then like 365 days later, everybody is saving it to their board. And so I do use Pinterest, but it's not on the top of my list. Sometimes if I'm just like, just hanging out, I'm like, oh, let me go on Pinterest and share some of these really cool renderings that I shared on Instagram earlier this month. But I really don't stay on Pinterest like that. But I'm telling you that Pinterest can live on. One thing about Pinterest is it doesn't, just like, Instagram and TikTok, those posts really do matter in the moment and they don't matter much after the moment. But Pinterest kind of lives on. It resurrects some of your posts out of the blue. So, always put everything, because you don't know what people are looking for, and make sure you're detailed. That's another thing ChatGPT can help you with. If you want to be like, oh, I designed this kitchen, I put this much thought into it, but I just don't know how to write it. Can you write it for me? Be like, do it. ChatGPT will make a beautiful caption with all the hashtags and make it optimized for you. So that's another way to use ChatGPT with your social media creation, because it can make captions.
Great. Do you have to buy samples from Dura Supreme?
No, because I use Dura Supreme Well, actually, Jury Supreme's happy to send you a big pack of samples, by the way. I do have one, but I haven't opened it because Jury Supreme's catalog and their website give you a good idea of what their products look like. And mostly their paint colors, like you can use paint colors they have, you can use paint colors that are available like Benjamin Moore, right? So you don't have to get samples directly from Dura Supreme. But if you want to see the door, you might, need to buy a sample, but most of the time you don't need to actually see or touch it, it's a cabinet door.
What are you assuming under your intellectual property source file?
What do I save under my intellectual property?
Yes, Krista, maybe you can expand on your question.
Well, say it again so I can make sure, maybe I didn't hear it right.
What are you assuming under your intellectual property source file?
Okay, so all the things that fall under that would be the SketchUp file, the 2020 file, things like the PDF plan and the renderings. Those don't count as source files, right? Those are deliverables, and they should get those. But the source file, like the Lumion file, SketchUp file, 2020 file, the one that has all the data and all the hard work in it, those are the source files, because anybody can take it and pick up and be just exactly where you left off in the business, in that project. And so if they want to hand off all that hard work to somebody else who will do the rest of it for cheaper, that's the part that you want them to pay for, because that's where the hard work is. Sorry, everything's like glitching on this one.
You use material banks. Are you not limited to the finishes that they offer?
Material Bank does have a limited group of companies that you order from, but when I'm like, even if I'm trying to find a certain type of, well, also you can go straight to the companies. You can usually get a sample for $1. But Material Bank is good because if I don't know what sample I want, but I still want to know what like a certain type of oak with a certain stain looks like, or if I want to include it in the design a certain way, I can still use Material Bank and search for something similar, especially when it comes to woods, because those are pretty definite.
Great. And then I guess really just a couple more. Do you sell plumbing fixtures? You're just design, correct? You don't do any selling.
Like like the hardware, like the sink and stuff like that. Yeah. So if our clients get the package that includes sourcing materials, we will source, and Material Bank has little samples for finishes for even like their faucets and their hardware and things like that. So yeah, we're going to suggest that. And also, 2020 has catalogs for the handles, which makes it great because we can play with different handles and recommend those. The 2020 also has specific faucets and hardware and fixtures like that. So, luckily you can have that all be a part of your 2020 design, and it'll be easy to pass it on to the client.
Great. And then how do you charge for those source materials?
We include it in the part of their package. We invoice them for sourcing the materials, but like if we don't get a commission if they buy like the countertop or like the Brizzo sink faucet, if that answers that. I hope it does.
So appliance recommendations. So like, how do you charge for finding these items? And then like appliance recommendations as well.
Okay, so we charge, we add our sourcing material. It's like an extra $1 to $2 per square foot. So whatever we were already doing, and if they decided, no, we don't want to help, we don't want to pick it out, you pick it out, we would be like, okay, well then we'll just add $2 a square foot to your invoice, and then we'd send it out, and then they pay it. But the appliances, I recommend, if you want, well, there's something for everything. It's hard. I love Sub-Zero. I love Cafe, GE Cafe. Of course, I love like simple. You can even get appliances at IKEA. You know what I mean? But every appliance has a place.
And then we'll just take this last question, and then we're going to wrap it up because we took way too much of your time, Crystal. We really appreciate it. They just want to know that how to spell the e-design company that we were talking about. How to spell
E-Design Tribe, the one that has a directory of other designers. It's just E-Design and then Tribe, Tribe. E-Design Tribe has a directory, and it's like a place for other. Now they do things like a different way. Like there's also Jenna, that's her name, Jenna. She teaches other designers how to be e-designers, kind of like how I'm doing. And like there's no competition because we're all out here winning. But she has a different way of doing it too. So like, of course, you know, if you're into getting into this, don't take just my word for it. Do your due diligence and see what's out there. So the e-design tribe is not just a list of directories. She also teaches it too. But you know, everybody's different.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Crystal. That was unbelievable. We're going to wrap this up. And yes, on behalf of 2020, we really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone who attended today.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Great day, everyone. Bye.